This is the Coin It Podcast, sponsored by CoinCosmo.com. Have fun like a collector. Think like an investor. Whether you're just a hobbyist or looking for an alternative investment with rare coins, paper money, NFTs, or art, your host, Charles Jonath, is covering it all. Now your host, Charles Jonath.
So we got Long Island silver, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's it. What's going on, man?
I like that, dude. I like Long Island silver. You know, it reminds me of Long John silver.
Yeah, right. Long John Silvers. They still have those? I wonder.
You know what? I think they do. In Illinois, at least they do.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
They had their fish was decent.
Was it? I don't think I've ever been there.
Well, anything fried, I think is okay, right?
Anything fried's okay. So thanks for having me on your show, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. I've been following you for quite a bit and looking at all your silver transactions and stuff like that, and rare coins. I mean, you do a bit of everything, which is cool. Like you're doing bullion, obviously, but then also you're into ancients, foreign, US type stuff I've seen on there. Mm-hmm. Really cool coins. Like, how did you get into all this stuff?
Man, I don't even know where to start. So I always kind of like collected. My grandfather had coins when I was a kid, but nothing like crazy, like the typical old grandpa stuff, like Dance Co album with, right. Incomplete Mercury dimes, like wheat cents, Buffalo nickels, stuff like that. And when I was like in my early 20s, I started buying silver just as a way not to spend my money. And I really got into it. And then I sold all my stuff when it spiked up to that $30 an ounce range, 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
And then I kind of fell out of it for a while. And then about 5 years ago, I'm on Instagram. Everybody was like just getting on Instagram, really kind of. Right. And I found this guy, Bentley Bullion. I don't know if he's still around. He's not like really active anymore, but he's like a private collector. And his one of his posts just popped up in my feed. And I was like, oh, what's this? I thought Instagram was like, models and food pictures.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't know, right? Like Instagram has these whole little these
microcosms.
Exactly. Microcosms of communities. It's really neat. And then I kind of just I followed him and I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff's so cool. I miss buying silver. And it got me back into collecting again.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
I honestly kind of started selling it totally by accident. It was just on accident. I got into the community, the silver community. It was a lot smaller 5 years ago than it is now.
Online, you mean?
Online, yeah. The online silver community, and through Instagram. And I started becoming friends with people, and people were doing like raffles and lives. I started doing the live auctions about a little over 4 years ago, and this is when Instagram was a really, really, really small group of people. And it kind of just took off. And I never realized that where I live, well, I knew it, but I didn't really know it until I started actively going out looking for bullion and building relationships, is that New York is just a hotbed for coin dealers.
Yeah.
And
tons for years.
Always has been. It always will be. The West Coast is really big. California is like that too.
Sort of.
New York. Yeah, no, it is. It's spread out. I talk about New York's a massive state, but when I say New York, I mean Long Island and the 5 boroughs and Westchester.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think Oneonta or Albany. I'm thinking within that little tight, compact.
I think it's
area.
even bigger because you have the tri-state. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Even Connecticut people come to the city to do some business every now and then North Jersey people.
Yeah, it's not just New York. It's Jersey, it's Connecticut, right. It's Pennsylvania, and New York in particular, and Long Island in particular. There's a lot of really big players on Long Island within the coin business. Yeah. And I accidentally just got into it.
That's cool. That's great.
I started really getting into it, and I hated the job I was at. And I just decided to light my life on fire about 2 months before, what was it? February before COVID, right? Because then everything shut down. I remember like St. Patrick's Day, everything was closed. Like none of the bars are open on St. Patty's Day, right?
Right.
And I like quit my job that February. I went to the Long Beach Expo. I set up out there with MK Bars, and I just like quit my job. I started selling coins full time.
Wow.
And that's it.
Amazing.
And I've been a coin dealer ever since.
So how are you liking it? Like what's going on? Like how was that whole process for you? It's a big transition.
You know, it is a big transition. I've always like really done sales. I came from the liquor industry. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, that was like my background for a long time, probably like 8 years before I really got into coins. I did a brand development, design, packaging, distribution, production, everything. And I wound up working for a distributor like the last 3 years of my career in liquor.
Wow.
So like sales is sales. You know what I mean? It's just widgets, man. You know, so kind of like the transition of just like selling one thing to another, that was easy. But I don't know, anybody can sell. It's just it's really about relationships in the industry. Yeah. Really about relationships. And I met some really great people along the way who not really but like really mentored me. And I've just been like fortunate, man. It's great. I love it.
That's awesome, dude. That's great. So, I mean, it seems like you're doing a bit of everything. You're not just really bullion. You got into more coins. And how has that been for you, the numismatics versus the bullion, and what do you like better?
I don't like any of it more than the other. I think it's really easy when you first get into coins, especially if you're like, I know a lot of people that are on social media, their first interaction of coins and bullion is through the internet, right? Like we talk about how spoiled we are living in like big kind of little metro areas where there's a huge like density of coin dealers, right? But there's a lot of people that live other states that they're 3-4 hours from their nearest, coin shop, or there's no coin shows around there. So you get your first taste online, and bullion's really easy because it's simple, right? There's not a lot to explain about bullion. It's the inflation hedge, blah, 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 blah. It holds the value of your money. Like
it's a different currency. Yeah.
It's just a different currency, and that's easy for people to get. And then eventually they kind of like, how many more Pac-Man coins or Silver Eagles am I going to buy? Like, well, what's up with that Alexander Tetradrachm? That's pretty cool.
Right.
What's up with Morgan dollars or whatever? And they get into something else, and like they eventually start collecting coins at some point. It's just like what I've seen from people and myself, it's just that natural progression. And you need the two. I don't like one more than the other. I think if you're talking like a balanced stack, if you're looking at your portfolio for your bullion, right, your hedge portfolio, right, I think you want to have a pretty balanced stack of numismatics and of bullion.
I agree.
So I think people that are like not buying, they're like, oh, well, it's just a Morgan. It only melts at $23. Why is it 23,000 or that ancient coin or like you're missing a boat on potentially a lot of money down the line and a really great store of wealth, right? Silver can drop to $2 an ounce tomorrow at $23,000 Morgan, which only melts at about $23, right now. That's not a $2 coin still.
Right.
So once people figure out that like numismatics are kind of a hedge for a hedge, they embrace a little.
They're less volatile, that the market is less volatile. There's more consistency. Like the upside gains, you're not gonna really see unless you get lucky on buying a coin, or you're able to be really advanced and pick the grade pick a coin that's undergraded and potentially upgraded. If you remove that totally out of the equation, then you're not going to see the upside gains, but you're not going to see the downside crashes like you would in bullion. I mean, multiple times in my life, I've seen bullion crash 50%, like multiple times.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and the numismatic market over the last 20 years is pretty strong.
Right.
And there's down markets like anything.
Sure.
It's like any industry. it's easy when people say, oh, the market goes down. It's like, oh, it's the worst thing to put your money in, blah, blah, blah. But when the market's hot, everybody loves it.
Well, it's like anything.
It's like anything. And right now, numismatics, like every other market, whether it be comic books, sports cards, Pokemon cards, Rolex watches, I mean, it's outperformed the S&P 500 over the past 30 years, right?
Yes,
like
yeah.
Every market's super hot right now. Yeah. Where it goes, I don't know.
I think over the last 10 years or whatever, Newmark Frank, I think, even though they're involved in the real estate, they do publish these things on luxury assets where they do reports. And they did statistical analysis, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think rare coins is second in gains in the last 10 years, only second to a rare whiskey, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I know all about the high end, that rare whiskey high end booze market. It's big.
Yeah.
People just want a place to put their money. That's not money.
It's wise to do. That's the thing. I always tell people, if you let's say you own some property and then you have either a 401k or your own savings and stocks and bonds, whatever, right? At that point, if money still keeps coming in, it comes the question of what are you going to do? You have to going forward, the way the future is going to be, you're going to have alternative investments. It's just the standard will not function the same for you, depending upon a given person's needs. If you're still accumulating wealth and you're in that phase, you're going to need to look to certain alternative investments. You're not going to be able to just stick in the same vein. If you're retired and you need dividend income or something like that, it's completely different. But going forward, you're going to need these things. It's just, if you're younger and you're investing and you're really trying to save money in the smart way, that's going to help you to some sort of financial freedom. You're going to have some type of alternative investment.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It's just, God, it's like the secrets of the rich that the rich don't tell the regular people, right? I mean, look at art. Okay, just look at artwork, the high-end art world. Like, there's a reason why rich people buy art, right? And it's not because they want to hang it on their walls, right? Like, there's financial and there's tax reasons, the way to like move things around and assets. Right. Like, people buy art for a reason. People buy high-end assets for a reason. Correct. I get made fun of because it's so funny. Like, coin people think anybody but coin people are dumb. Comic people think anybody but comic people are dumb. Same thing with card people. They all think you're putting your money into the wrong thing, right? But like, you should be putting your money into all of it.
Well, right? the thing is that it's everyone's comfort zone is different. So like with me, I know numismatics very well. So the majority of my assets, let's say, are in numismatics because that's what I know. I'm very comfortable with it, and it's done well for me over the years. So it's not like, when you know the market really well, you understand a particular, the coins themselves really well. I mean, it just gets to a point where it's just more comfortable for me to do that. I do have some bullion, but I'm not, for me, my own opinions on bullion, I think it serves its purpose definitely, but I just don't like the fact that there's so much going on right now in bullion. As far as like the issue becomes, there's probably around 200 times the amount of derivatives as there is in the notional, which means there's many more derivatives to sort of that have control on the price of silver and gold as opposed to having the physical asset. So you can effectively change the price of silver and gold without ever having to transfer physical assets, right? So, I mean, right now, given where the inflation is, it's surprising to me that gold is still under $2,000 an ounce, and silver's somewhere in the mid-20s.
25, whatever. It just sits in this uninteresting number.
So it's just bizarre to me. It's bizarre.
None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. It's all. I mean, it's just so clearly manipulated, right? I mean, every market's manipulated. Like, if you talk about Bitcoin, it's the savior. Well, that's probably the most manipulated market in the world, right? Like, look at the price swings that you see. It's just market manipulation. Look at the price swings you see with gold and silver. That's what it is. It's just a manipulated market, and with all that's going on in the world, like, how is gold not $3,500 an ounce? Right. How is silver not 50 an ounce? At least.
Yeah, I mean, people that hold physical are somewhat making up for it in the sense of they're charging high premiums, But then the question then becomes a client, let's say you're from me, who's like a dealer, right? Or whatever, a client and now also yourself. Let's say a client comes to us and is like, well, I want to buy silver. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's say now the premiums are $8 over the spot price. Are you going to recommend that they get into it?
Me,
That's the question. I mean,
we talk about it all the time.
Historically, yes, right? I mean, but to pay $8 premium on a silver round, I mean, not that long ago, pre-pandemic, we were selling silver rounds in the store for $1 over.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was right at Long Beach Expo, set up like selling silver for like 180, $180, 10-ounce bars, right? Like, right. Like over it was ridiculous. And now look at it. It's crazy. I mean, and that's where like, it's like this big disconnect, right? Because you see these huge premiums and like customers think like it's just coin dealers trying to like rob customers and be greedy. But it's not, right? So like a lot of people don't realize like the cost of this stuff is insane. I was just talking about this at the shop. I'm at my house right now. I was at the shop earlier today. And it was like the bid on Silver Eagles to buy them from a big wholesale dealer, like one of the biggest in the countries. You know who they are if I said their name. You want to buy Silver Eagles, it's 13.25 over. Wow. As a dealer. You as a customer can't buy from this company. As a dealer, if you want to buy them for a customer, it's 13.25 over is their sell price. The sealed Silver Eagles. That's insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
I literally said, I'm like, why would you buy a Silver Eagle?
It doesn't make sense.
It's the dumbest thing you could buy. Why would you buy a Silver Eagle?
Right.
So now as a customer, you have to spend, and we're not getting them for 13.25 and charging 20 over. We're getting them for 13.25, charging $1 over. Like it's a big outlay of money to make a couple of bucks an ounce to like provide a service. It's terrible.
Well, you're buying future values. Like, okay, when you're paying that premium, you're gonna assume that you already paid $13 plus into the market.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, I love Bullion, and it definitely serves its purpose, but it's getting confusing. Like if I don't know really what to do, I just think, that's why I've sort of let, we have on our end, we have two sides of the business. We have one, the coin shop, which does everything like general collectibles, your grandpa's coin collection basically. And then Bullion, obviously Bullion does the majority of the business, but I shifted completely on my focus on numismatics because that's sort of where my clients went and that's what I believed in, and that I went down that direction. But I remember the last time I was really involved in doing the Bullion transactions was just right after the pandemic. Silver, I don't know if you remember this, but prices crashed really quickly.
Yeah, I remember.
and that day, like I've mentioned this before to somebody, I think, but I'll say it again. It was like a telethon. Like literally our phone was ringing off the hook and people were calling us trying to buy silver. And I was calling up wholesalers who we had, and they were hanging up the phone on me.
Yeah.
No one was selling. I mean, they just said, no, we're not selling right now. So how is that going to work when a major wholesaler is like, sorry.
All right.
There's nothing we could do. We're not selling anything until things make sense to us. And not that I blame them. They're sitting on, tens of millions of dollars in inventory.
Yeah. I mean, if they can't get it from their wholesalers, like they're the guys buying it from the mints, right? And if you can't get it from the mint, where are you going to get it from?
Exactly.
People weren't running out to sell their bullion, it was like it was a crazy time during COVID for coins, right? Wasn't it bizarre? I remember going to meet like this one guy, coin dealer, this old school coin dealer who just, it does well, buys a lot of collections, but he's like a coin show dealer. And he'd be like, you want to meet me at the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot? and I would go and at the back of his car and have my own coin show. Cause he was just like, I got to buy a collection, but I got no cash. I got to move stuff. Like he had no way to like move stuff. It was just weird.
It was like the apocalypse. Literally.
It was like an apocalypse. It was, man. I'm telling you, it was totally crazy. Well, I'm telling you, But yeah, it was bizarre. And now the market's like weird. It's a weird market. Like people are still buying bullion, but they're not. Like I don't know. It's weird. It's odd.
I mean, it's recovered, but not to the same. I think premiums are still a little bit high, but are they high? That's the thing. They're probably not. I mean, the price of silver is really higher, but the hard part is if the spot price doesn't adjust to the market where it should be.
That's the thing. Like
it's deceiving to customers.
It is deceiving. You know, it's like it's deceiving to new customers because like real customers know it doesn't matter. Like the real buyers, they just want to accumulate the metal, whether it's silver, it's gold. They don't want the cash. Yeah. Like that's like the real buyers of bullion know that. They're not like nitpicking over, you know, well, silver's $25. Why is it $30? Like, yeah, that's the street price, man. Like I can't buy bullion to be competitive as a dealer, right? Like I can't come in, someone can't come into the shop and I offer like $3 behind spot. Like I can, but you can't, you know what I mean? Like you have to pay strong.
It's not right.
Well, it's not right. Yeah. And it's just not realistic. Like I don't know if I have to buy it from a wholesaler and I got to pay $1 over, $1.50 over, right? Like I'm not, you know, oh, here I get to rip this guy off. No, I'm like, I'm paying them real numbers and you have to. So it's like, there's just a disconnect between the dealers and the customers. Like the customers don't understand and they don't have to understand because that's not their problem to figure out how we're getting the metal. Right. But that is the reality of it. And, you know, spot price and street price are two completely different things. Yeah. I think you have to, everybody wants to base metal price off of the number that the Kitco app tells them. They're not like really thinking about the global aspect and like what's going on in our country and our economy and everything. And that's like the physical aspect of it. People aren't getting, well, they get it, but it's just, I don't know. What are you going to do? End of the day, silver's $30 an ounce. Like me personally, as a dealer, I'm not going to sell you silver for less than $30 an ounce. Maybe I will, maybe like 28, 29, but it's just, that's the value. That's the price of silver. Right. It is.
It just is what it is. And everyone has to readjust to the market. I think it's good. You gotta have some, you know, silver and gold. It definitely has its purposes. It's another currency. It's internationally exchangeable. You could take it around the world and get any currency you want, paper currency.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's the people's ideas of what like a good hold of value is changing too over the past couple of years since COVID. I think that was it was the driving force of a lot of the collectible markets to explode, right? And had other people look at different ways and storing their money. And I think having a little bit of everything's good. Like,
well, the crypto,
like you want to talk about something, you know, being exchangeable, going anywhere in the world, put a Rolex on your wrist. You know, you can put 15,000 right on your wrist and go right through customs and go to another country.
I always say the same thing with a coin. You know, you could fit a slab right in your pocket and that coin could be worth over $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And silver's heavy. Gold's less heavy, but silver's really heavy. Yeah. You know, we had a robbery, not our shop, but at the coin show, there's a local coin show twice a month in Long Island. And it was yesterday and someone got gold stolen from them because no one wanted to grab this box of silver, right? You can walk out with $250,000 in cash.
It happens all the time, man. All the time.
You can't carry $250,000 in silver. I don't care how strong you think you are, you know, you can't do it.
You really have to be careful at these shows, you know.
Yeah, you do. And there was zero violence. It was just the guy was being watched and they waited for the slip up at the end and a little sleight of hand distraction. The guy just picked up the box and walked out of the showroom.
Yeah. These are the dangers of being a dealer, you know, like, especially doing these smaller local shows. And then, you know, although it could happen at big shows, but you know, they tend to target smaller shows and even coin shops. I mean, in California, there was a dealer in Fremont who was leaving out the back and he was walking to his car. They just shot him in the back of the head and took his briefcase. And I don't even think there was anything in there.
It happens all the time.
It's just crazy. You have to really be careful.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's just one of those things, I guess. You know, we just talked about it today, right? Because this guy's a friend of ours who got the money stolen from him. And you know, it's you
That
go to a
sucks.
coin show, it's a room full of easy marks, right? Like most of the guys are like in their late 70s, half senile, you know,
Right.
like I don't know. I don't know how it doesn't happen more often, honestly, but it's
Did
like
he?
terrible when
He
it
didn't
does.
have carry insurance or anything like that. No, right?
I don't, I'm sure he's a major refiner. I'm sure he's got it figured out, but yeah, I mean, that was it. It wasn't even, he just went to the bathroom, had a guy, he's like one of the dealers watch the table, and the guy had the girl with him, distract the guy and do, and then he just went over and picked up a box and walked out. That was it.
That's crazy,
Crazy.
man. That's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, no, it is
sucks.
sad. It's terrible, but you know, and of course they're like, they have video footage of the inside, and you know, post COVID, you can still wear a
Right.
mask. It's not weird to wear a mask indoors. It's still like, it's your choice, right? You can do that if you want.
No, yeah.
That's just, you know, the new normal, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No,
you just
it is.
put on a mask and go steal $250,000 in gold and platinum bullion and walk out
Right.
and drive away.
No one finds it suspicious anymore. Yeah.
No one finds it suspicious anymore. Can you imagine going into like your bank 2-3 years ago with
a
a
mask.
on and like a face shield? Are you kidding me?
It's crazy.
No,
Right?
yeah, no, it is crazy. But yeah, you got to be careful as a coin dealer. Like,
Yeah.
you definitely do. Keep it low key, you know.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
where is your shop? Like you're in Sayreville, right?
yeah, so I'm in Sayville. So I in my journeys of making like my way as a coin and dealer, I met this guy Chris, who's actually a really great guy. You should hit him up. He's Long Island Coin on Instagram.
Long Island. Okay.
Yeah, you should totally like talk to him and do an interview with him. And he has the shop, and I met him about 4 years ago to buy some silver. I wound up spending like almost 3 hours in there with the guy, and we became really good friends. And
Nice.
he like kind of opened the door that was a room with other doors in it for me. He like kind of really showed me the ropes and like brought me to like my first coin show, brought me around with him. And I made a lot of really great relationships within the coin business because of him. And he just like, why don't you come in like 2 years ago? He's like, why don't you just come in and split the shop up and take over part of the shop and just operate your business out of it. So that's what I've been doing.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, the shared shop, which is nice. And then, you know, we go to coin shows together and do all that good stuff. We stay busy.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I seen your it seems like you're getting into ancients. Is that right or no?
I like everything, man. I like everything. Anything that's cool. Like if you go to like a big coin show or even a crappy coin show, it's there's so much cool stuff there. Like how do you not find ancient coins interesting?
Right.
Or like
the history is just amazing.
Anything else. Yeah, it's cool. Like, yeah, they're cool. I love ancients. Ancients are great. And then, you know, you got to look at the markets too. Like, I mean, it's so easy to just talk about bullion and like boring American numismatics, but you know, let's talk about the ancient market over the past few years, like how much that's exploded.
Yeah.
Even though like the coin market itself is hot, but like there's these little sectors within the coin market that are really hot, and like ancients are hot, world coins are.
It's
like
getting
Spanish
there,
coins.
you know.
It's getting there.
Ancients took all. You know what happened? It was really actually a popular market in the 70s, I believe. But then, you know, they found so many Roman coins, they started making a lot of discoveries, and they dumped a lot of Roman inventory on the market. And it really drove down prices, and I think it scared a lot of people off of ancients, except for the hardcore ancient people for a long period of time. But now that things have sort of flushed out, I mean, they're not doing as many, you know, excavations anymore, and you're starting to see like little microcosms flush out, like where the real rare stuff is in ancients and what's not.
Yeah, now like people at this point, they know like the basic stuff, and then the really special coins, they're just like standouts in the market. And then you have like, you know, grading services, NGC and Annex, they both grade ancients too. I think that takes a lot of like I have a customer, a really good customer, and he likes ancients, but his question's always like, oh, but are they real? You know, and he likes them raw. He doesn't want them in holders. Like, oh, I hate getting them in the holders, but are they real?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but like people are just I mean, he's not a customer who's like buying a $150 ancient. You'd want like, it would be a big coin. You know, he's a big buyer. So like he wants to know what he's getting is authentic. And Yeah, I mean it's like valid, right? Like
He's got to get over. He's got to
it's a
get over
valid
that
concern.
psychology, you know, of having it in a holder.
Yeah, no, it's a valid concern, but I say to him like, you know what, NGC doesn't get it right a lot of the times either. So, I'm sure there's plenty of fake, non-genuine ancients in NGC holders. I'm
So,
sure they are.
well, here's the thing. Like, believe it or not, these grading agencies are very good about if they do make a mistake. I've seen them make good on it,
Yeah,
which is
no,
crazy.
they would.
Like,
They would.
and NGC for ancients is bar none. I mean, they do a really
Right,
good.
that's
They
it.
have a really good staff there that does ancients, and the degree to which they classify them based on their restoration techniques. I mean, all that's noted now on the new holders. So if there's heavy brush marks, they'll state that there's brush marks. I mean,
Yeah, but that's like, you know what though? That's like, I hate that they do that. Me personally, I hate that these are like,
really?
because none of these coins, all ancient coins are cleaned,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if
They're
they
restored in some sort of fashion. Yeah.
well, yeah, they come out of the ground. They're covered in rock.
Right.
They look like junk. Like they're all restored. So like I don't know the marks. Like I don't know. It bothers me if they do that, but they do a good job. NGC. I mean, it's the only option. PCGS doesn't do it.
Well, the crazy thing is like the gold stuff that comes out of the ground. It's amazing how like gold is just an amazing metal, man. It's
The gold is like beautiful out of the ground, but a lot
right.
of the stuff and the gold.
Yeah, the bronze stuff, and yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, the gold looks awesome. I love gold ancients. I like ancients. I like everything. I don't I mean I went to the fun show. I spent more on cards than I did coins when I was there.
Did you really? That's blowing up now. It's a huge thing. I mean,
You know what, man? Like the coin market is so high right now. It's very expensive to buy coins, right?
Yes.
Like the coin market's hot. Everybody knows it, and the dealers all know it's hot, and it's expensive to buy coins. So you got to look for like I don't know, other places where you can make money. I bought a Jordan rookie.
Wow.
I bought a Jordan rookie card, the PSA holder at the fun show. Like I did. I tell you, I spent more on cards than I did coins there.
That's crazy. So how did you get into that? You just started reading about cards or?
Yeah, I like a lot of different things, man. I'm like a Renaissance man. I like it all.
You sit there and study this stuff, right?
Yeah, I think I think things are interesting. I've always loved comics, right? I've always loved cards. Growing up, I collected more cards and comics than I did coins. There's no coin show. I grew up in Eastern Long Island, and there's no such thing as a coin shop where I lived. There was card places and comic places. Like that's what I grew up doing.
Yeah. Right.
Like why leave money on the table, right?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, a lot of guys I remember from when I was a kid used to do both. Like they'd buy coins, but then they did a lot of baseball cards and football cards and stuff like that. Like when I was a kid, it was big. Like you'd go in there and buy the tops, and then they put the piece of gum in them.
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch Kids cards. I'm dating myself now, but.
No, but it's funny. Like all that stuff though is like, especially the baseball cards, they're just valueless now. The stuff from the '80s at Major League Baseball, like stuff from the '80s and '90s is
so common. Yeah,
so common. It's such junk. But the same thing with the comics too.
Well, they made tons of it. That's what happened.
Tons of it. Everybody thought they were going to be worth tons of money. Everybody overbought them. Like I can't even tell you how many like sealed boxes of stuff like that I've seen, and just mint condition, like 90s era Superman comics, tons of it out there. But, I mean, that market's crazy. I have an heritage auction catalog for comics from like 2001. And if you saw like the prices of these books based off of like what they're going for now, if you could even find those books in those high of grades anymore, you would have gotten a time machine and you would have bought every book you could have. It's insane. All those markets, they just keep going up and up and up. And I just think over the next few years, especially, I don't think you're really going to see a huge collapse in these alternative asset markets, because it's not a comic, it's not a coin, it's an asset. It's an alternative asset. And like this day and age, people are just like very quick to look for other routes of places to put money. I think anything but the dollar is a good choice, honestly.
It seems to be that way, right? Yeah.
You think so?
How about, you know what I wanted to ask you? How about in the early, like the classic value cards like Mickey Mantle and all that stuff. I mean, is that stuff really crazy now, or?
It's just like what they're, is it crazy? Like, well, is $30 an ounce premium silver crazy? It's what the market is, right? Like the market on any of that stuff on anything is what people are willing to pay for it. I think people are, again, looking for different stores of value. They're going to pay top dollar for the highest grade of like a mantle, like a mantle rookie, right? They're going to pay the top dollar for that. And that card's not going to come back out in auction for probably a really long time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the more modern cards, like the Luka Doncic cards and the Zions, those things are all going to like tank, because there was a lot of that hype market going on and really exploding these modern cards. But the big cards, like the Mantle rookies and the Jordan rookies and the really, really key cards, I think they're always going to be high. I don't think the prices are ever going to crash on those things.
That's a great point. So I think that's really sort of if you're going to dabble in that area, you want to buy things that have been collected, that have market proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to put a lot of money into it.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a ton. Even like a low grade one's a ton of money. But I think there's a good money to make in the low grade cards, because I think a lot of these higher grade prime examples are going to get gobbled up and they're going to get just put away. Like, I have a friend who's really, really into comics, like as a collector, and he just sold a Batman #1, probably a couple months ago. He sold a Batman #1 in like a 1.5, really low grade, really super valuable book. And the guy who bought it's just a guy who collects Batman #1s. Like, that book is never going to see the light of day again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He'll never sell it, bro.
Yeah, they're selling. And then the people that are buying these books like that, like a guy who's just buying Batman #1s, like he's the collector. Like, he wants to own that market. Like, that book is not going to see the light of day for a very, very long time.
So that's interesting you said that, because that's what we're seeing in coins. It seems to be a collector-driven market, and not a lot of people yet coming in from outside.
No, because it's hard, man. It's just hard. Like, if you look, it's hard, and it's not like if you looked at like you look at Instagram pages, for instance, of like coin community versus card community, right? Like, I have, I don't know, 12,000 followers on Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. These card people have like 100,000 followers.
Right. It's just more popular. Yeah.
It's more popular. Like, you go to like an A&A, which is just a big room of old people that are like half dead, right? And then you go to like a big card show in Dallas, or the one in June in Atlantic City, and it's sexy. There's like girls walking around. There's athletes doing autographs. Like, A&A's got a guy who's a Ben Franklin impersonator walking around.
Right.
It's just not mainstream, attractive, and sexy. It has no sex appeal to it. And that's the problem with coins. Like, how do you change that? Well, I don't know. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
But it's just the markets are two completely different things.
Yeah.
I don't see either of them going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
But that's like
it's sad but true. Like, I think that's the big part of it. It's the general overall appeal. But I think a lot of people just don't know about coins. They're just not educated about it. It's surprising because I've had this conversation before, but going back to, I think tone coins now are bringing in a new audience that otherwise, like, people that I know that don't care for coins or know nothing or have no interest in coins. They're like, coins, what are you talking about? But then you show them a beautifully toned coin, like a real nice barber proof or something like that. They're like, wow, I didn't know coins could look like that. So it tends to draw them in, and then they ask more questions.
You just
little
said you're
stuff
right.
like that.
People aren't like, they're just not exposed to it. And, it's like anything. People are exposed to so much. You can like choose to do what you want to do with your money, and you have to make that choice. But once people are exposed, my best friend, I went and stayed with him in California a few years ago, and I went and saw MK bars in LA, and I came back and I had all this stuff. And he's like, what were you doing with your internet friend in like Northridge? I'm like, what? I'm like, let me show you. You thought I was going to get like kidnapped by some guy on the internet, right?
Oh, shit.
And I opened up my case, and it was all this silver. And he's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Nice.
He's like, I want this. I'm like, well, you can't have this. He's like, I'm going to a coin show in Anaheim tomorrow. He's like, let me give you $500. Can you just buy me stuff? I'm like, yeah, sure. And since then, he's like a regular customer.
Yeah.
And he's gotten into numismatics, right? Like eventually, and I never sold him on it. He would just see stuff posted like, oh, what's that about? That thing's cool. Oh, I like this. And eventually you just kind of, you know, you have a lot of bullion. What am I going to do with all this bullion? I need a bigger safe. It's friggin' heavy. Like, what do I do with it?
Well, it goes back to what you were saying, man. That's like, so people start deviating. Like if you get into bullion, what's the next? I mean, then now you see like, well, I'm going to buy silver bars. Well, there's these old school vintage silver bars that are cool. Now you opened up a whole new can of worms. Like,
whole new can of worms. There's different rabbit holes for every rabbit hole in the coin community. It's crazy, right? Like you can go hobo nickels, like whatever. Exactly. You can just go collect anything. It's insane. Yeah, people need to be exposed to it, and I think Instagram does like a good job with it, but it's more than just like collecting something. Like you got to really want to do it. You know, it's like anything. You got to really get into it. And it's difficult. It's hard to get into. It is. It's not easy. Cards are easy. Comics are easy. Coins aren't. Like
it takes time. Like you know, I've been, you know, at this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time. You can't know it all. Like that's the thing. Even someone that's been around it a long time, you know, I don't know. I mean, world coins, like there's so much stuff. Like I have no idea, you know, just a whole other area.
And it's a whole nother massive market of the coin industry,
massive
right?
Market, massive, yeah.
Huge
World
market.
coins is huge. I know. Oh, have you ever been to the World Coin and Ancient Coin show? It's right in your backyard. It's in New York City. I think it was just
January. I love that show. I haven't been there since COVID, but yeah, that was one of my favorite shows of the year. I used to love going to that show, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's like the biggest thing for ancients and world coins here, I think, in the States, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is like the biggest ancient world coin show in the country.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That ANA World, the ANA International, the money show or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, that's like but that's in which would they do that in the States? That's the
a different state. I think they choose a different one. It's the international one. They do
the international one. Yeah. They haven't had that in a couple of years, though. I don't think. No, maybe I'm wrong.
Last year, I don't know if they did or they didn't. This year, it's going to be in Rosemont in Illinois. It's going to be in August.
Oh, just the ANA show, not like in particular, like.
Well, ANA does two shows. They do the big one, and then they do the smaller one. That's like the money show.
Yeah, the big one's in Rosemount.
This year it's going to be in Rosemont.
Yeah, gotcha.
It switches up. I mean, one year it was like in Anaheim, California. Another year in Philadelphia. You know, they changed the cities, I think.
Yeah. It's like there's not a ton of shows. It's been weird too with like COVID, getting all the dealers back into the country. Also, like even I remember Fun Show this year was like weird, right? I mean, it was
okay? I didn't go this year.
I mean, not weird. It was still like a massive show. It was like a huge coin show, but there was a lot of people not there. Like their world section was just very small compared to 2 years ago. Yeah. You know, I didn't go to the international show in Manhattan either this year. But I heard it was like weird and it was expensive for dealers, like the tables and everything. You have to like stay at the hotel that the show's in. It's like this whole thing. It costs
a fortune. It's getting crazier now. I mean, like what ticket prices, air tickets because of gas, you know?
It's insane, man. It's insane. Like the travel for all that stuff is like, even just doing it domestically. I don't know how many shows you do, but like we do a lot of shows, man. I mean, it's just expensive.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. We did the Baltimore show 2 weeks ago. Just gas alone was like,
how was that show, by the way?
It was great. Yeah, it was a great show.
It usually is a good one. The Windmill.
Yeah, like all those shows are like so funny though. The big national shows, it's really like a bunch of coin dealers who are all friends with each other, and they're all like buying and selling coins to one another. And then they're all gone by like Saturday. They all leave Friday, and Saturday half the dealers are gone. And you get a little retail. You know, it's weird.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, but the show is great, man. Picked up some great coins. The coin market's just hot right now, dude. It's hot. Yeah. People are definitely buying coins right now.
I don't think there's any turning back for a while. I mean,
No, it's not. Like I just don't see, we talk about all the markets, everybody's like, oh, the Rolex market. Oh, it's going to crash. Like, no, it's not. Like, it's not. I have an Explorer 2 on my wrist, not to like, oh, look at my watch, but like it's worth now a price that I would never in a million years pay the amount of money it's worth now from when I bought it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think the watch is going to go back to that pre-pandemic level. It's just not. Like it all goes back to globally. Like, look at inflation. What's your dollar worth?
Yeah, that's what
that's what it is.
Inflation's a big thing, and then the pandemic obviously kicked that into hyperdrive. But like I can't say particularly for these other markets, but coming from the coin market that I know more better, a lot better, obviously. Just I'm looking at the dynamics, the fundamentals of the market, and like I don't see the fundamentals there leading to a bubble. There's no fundamentals that are justifying a bubble right now. If that changes, then obviously, I'd come out and say that, but I'd be planning differently, and more in the selling mode. But now, I'm just more in the buying mode. Buying's getting more difficult because with our market specifically, there's just not a lot of great inventory. You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. Like now with these apps where you can, you build registry sets and then track your coins on an app essentially. And then they update the price guides. And I think it's going to get to a point where it almost becomes like the market. Once new auctions come in, they're going to send you notifications saying, yeah, your registry has gone up, by $3,000 or whatever. And then, the flight to quality is just going to get, the quality coins just keep going up and going up. And then all the generic stuff is just going to, the premiums on it will get squished basically.
Premiums are going to get squished, and then the quality coins will get bought up, and then they'll be traded between dealers to dealers, and they'll eventually just end up in the hands of collectors.
Yeah, these high net worth individuals that are trying to build big collections and compete with each other. I mean, and then they're not going to sell. They want to have the number one collection. If you're going to collect, Barber half dollars, you know what I mean? Like you want to have the best set.
You want to have the best set, yeah. Which is why I always tell people, buy the best coin you can in the grade.
Yeah.
Whatever coin you want to buy the best grade you can. Because eventually you're not going to be able to find them. They're just going to get gobbled up and collected.
Yeah. That's sort of what happens. I mean, that's what's going on in our market right now.
Yeah. The whole market is, I don't know, it's like a really interesting time we live in. I think aside from coins, it's crazy. Yeah, it is totally crazy. And I don't really I see the generic market taking a hit probably at some point, and that's across the board. That's any form of collectibles, right? Mm-hmm. But just the primo stuff is going to stay premium, man. Yeah. Like every year, another coin goes up, or a comic or a card. Everybody goes, "Oh, could you believe what that went for?" It's like, yeah, you have to believe what it went for. Right. Like, why? That's ridiculous. That's too high. It's like, well, why are you collecting then? Don't you want to see your market, or like whatever your niche is? Don't you want to see it continue to go for like record numbers?
Right.
Wouldn't you want to get out of something that you're seeing like the top examples of that go for less and less money every year? Mm-hmm. Why would you want to put money into that industry?
Well, I tell people that come to the shows, I said, there's a big problem in our industry of what people call rare, right? Mm. So everyone says, well, this is a rare coin, and
rare coins aren't rare. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, but here's the thing, I tell them, I said, you're at a show now, there's especially a show like Long Beach where there's 800 dealers. I said, if you go around and everyone has coins like that in their case, it's not rare, right?
It's not rare.
But if you have a coin like this, that go find it in another dealer's case, count how many dealers have this coin, and you tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
So just getting a simple education about this stuff can really make a big difference when you're coming into this market. You want to be a smart buyer. I always recommend, you work with someone who's an expert on it, and then you do all the research. You have to do the homework. You can't just walk into this blindly and expect you're going to buy anything and it's going to work. It don't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, I think when a lot of collectors get started, people just like having stuff. right? It's the same reason why people buy like gram gold, but won't save the money and buy an ounce of gold.
Right.
You wind up buying a bunch of grams and you're averaging out at like $3,500 an ounce of gold.
Paying high premiums.
Right, with the premiums, right? So you just want to have like all this stuff in your hands, but you like it costs you too much money because nobody wants to just wait and then pay the 2,100 or whatever for gold.
Right.
They'd rather just buy the gram, little gram, stack it gram by gram. Well, I guess if you want to like average out really high and then not get anywhere close to what you paid when it comes time to sell, then go for it, you know? But yeah, people just like stuff. Nobody, and I tell this to people all the time. I say, why don't you save your money and buy the better coin?
Yeah.
Like, well, I want this now. I'm like, I know you want this now, but like you're better off buying the better coin or buying the higher grade card or the higher grade comic. Like just
it's worth it.
Money. Because that stuff's always easy to sell. You know, that's if everybody, they get scared and they don't want to get stuck on, and nobody wants to get stuck in their money, especially if you're looking for like a liquid asset, right? But the good stuff's always easy to sell. Someone's always going to buy the good stuff and pay strong on it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? Like they're always going to.
Yeah. Especially these days. I mean, I feel like, you know, there's no issue selling coins.
No, there's not. And if you're like, if people are coming in and you're not offering top dollar for what's coming in over the counter, you're just kind of a dirtbag, I guess. Right? Like,
well, just people are not going to sell, you know, like the people that know what they have.
Customers are smarter now. Sellers off the street are smarter because everything, you know, they can Google everything. And most of the time they Google the wrong information and genuinely think like a coin that's worth 2 cents is worth like 10,000. We get that over the counter a lot.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
I can tell you right now, none of them are bringing us in like $10,000 pennies, right?
Well, there's a guy on Etsy that's doing that.
Doing what?
There's someone on Etsy, you know that website Etsy?
Yeah.
Where they're literally taking change. They're taking wheat pennies, like a 1948 wheat penny, which is like double the face value. Let's say it's worth 2 cents.
Yeah.
And then he puts it on Etsy for like $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Are people buying it?
So when you start Googling rare coins and stuff like that, guess what comes up? Wow. Etsy's a big site. I mean, boom, these things come up and then people are like, oh my God, I have that coin in grandpa's old box.
And then as the guy in the coin shop, you look like the crook. You
well,
look like the
sometimes, you know, some people you just have to explain to them, but you know, a lot of times, they're like, listen, we have a very rare penny. Like, okay, which one is it? Yeah, it's a 1948. Like, come on. And I have to explain to them, they're like, no, we Googled it, you know, and they're right. They did.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. Like there are these misleading things.
Yeah, there are the misleading things, but for the most part, people have an idea now.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's just you got to.
Sometimes when they walk in and you could sell them a roll of wheat pennies from the 40s for like $3.
People like that stuff.
Then then they get it. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Then they get it. People don't get it though. It's fine. They'll get it eventually. But I like the market. I don't think the market's going anywhere. I think it's staying around for a while, man. It's been around longer than me and you. I don't think it's
that's
going
for
anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
it'll be here after us too.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's always good for people. I'm always happy when like my friends start putting money into bullion. I always tell them, I say, you don't have to buy this from me. I'm like, there's 1,000 places you can buy bullion from. I'm like, I just want you to be buying it.
Right.
Don't think about the price, just buy it and forget about it. That's it. And eventually you're averaged out where you're like, you know what? Yeah, they're right. The price never really mattered to begin with.
Well, one cool thing is like why I feel so confident in saying this stuff is because I'm like third generation doing it. I grew up in a coin shop, and then you know I still have clients that my grandfather was servicing, and I see them now. You know, so I've seen the end result.
Yeah,
it's like having a time machine, you know, a window into the future. I've seen the end result. I've seen what happened of saving in bullion and numismatics over the last 30 plus years, right? So
numismatics. God, right? Like you buying the right coins 30 years ago, what they're worth now. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
God. So, but back then they were expensive.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You know, you
Yeah.
go back in the red books, they were paying like, you know, to them, it was expensive still, numismatics. You know, great coins have always been expensive.
The good stuff always costs money. That's the reality of it. And then eventually the bad stuff at some point, maybe it's worth nothing or it creeps up and then the market shifts. You know, you don't know.
Right.
You just don't know. Like you just hope they don't keep opening up bank vaults with with American gold coins from Europe or Morgans or something like that, because that's never good for the market now, is it? But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, well, there was always the worry about that with the 20s and stuff like that. But I don't even deal in the generic gold stuff. I am not into that. But that's a huge market, which people collect crazy. I feel like a lot of the dealers deal in that stuff regularly. They're so active in dealing in that stuff.
Yeah, they do. I don't like it. I don't like the generic gold like that. It doesn't do anything.
It's just not. Is this not what I recommend? I mean, it's a whole other thing. I'm not saying it's bad or it's good. You know, I really don't know the dynamics of the slab.
It's just
gold.
A lot of money for kind of like nothing. You know, you might as well just buy bullion.
Well,
at that point.
Yeah, that's sort of how I feel. I mean, if you're teetering on the line of bullion. You know, now the premiums are getting higher again on the old U.S. gold, and they're partly right when they say that, like, look, they're not going to be making any more of them, which is great. But I do feel that, you know, you have to look at fundamentals of markets. A couple years ago, when the premiums were virtually nothing on $20 gold pieces, I thought it was a great time to buy $20 gold pieces, because if you could buy them for bullion, you know, and they're old gold like that, I mean, it's great. Buy them, you know. But as the premiums go up, I don't know if it becomes worth it anymore.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. It's definitely less attractive when the premiums go up on those.
Yeah,
if you buy them for gold, buy them, but they don't do anything for me personally.
That's another thing, subjectivity in coin collecting too. Like everyone's got their own preferences, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like every dealer is you can go in different dealers' cases and you know what like you're into. Like most dealers is kind of into what they're into, and they're not, you know. So you just you pick and choose who you want to deal with for what you want to buy, I guess, right?
Right. No.
Yeah.
Definitely. So are you selling online these days? Do you have a website or?
No, I do Instagram, eBay, a lot of eBay still. People love to you know, trash eBay, but it's still a great resource to sell coins or really anything. And then the shop and then the coin shows. That's it.
That's awesome, man. So what's on the future for you? What do you want to do more of? More shows, more eBay, more Instagram?
Probably less Instagram. Actually, I don't know. I've been questioning that, asking myself this a lot lately over the past few months. I'm not sure, actually. To be determined.
Really?
Yeah, to be determined. I've been thinking about it a lot lately and expanding and to be determined. I got a lot of things I'm processing right now. But yeah, staying in the coin industry and the collectibles market, that's for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love it. I don't think I could see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. You're in love with it now. That's it.
Yeah, I'm in love with
official.
it. Having a job sucks, right? Like nobody wants to have a job.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on the person, but you gotta, anytime you can make a living out of something that you're passionate about. I think it's great. You know, that's a wonderful opportunity someone can have in their life, you know.
I've always had an interest and obsession with cool stuff. And I just love it. I love being around interesting things. I love being around interesting people. I love the people I've met in the coin business, right? Like they always that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right. And since I've been in coins, I'm never the smartest person in the room anymore. And I like that. I've met a lot of really interesting people in coins. And yeah, man, I love the industry. I truly do. It's really great people, just everything about it. I do love the coin industry. So I'm in it, but I don't know what the next step is. I have no idea. I don't know.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great. Like you're right on the money with everything. Your prices are good. I mean, you're really good. You're doing really well out there.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's a grind, though. It's like anything. It's a grind. It's a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of work. Going to New Hampshire this weekend for a big show. In Manchester, New Hampshire. It's like, yeah, you know, it's a lot. It
always is, you know, it's the thing. Like being in business for yourself, you're working a lot. That's the way it goes, you know. That's sort of the trade-off. There's no, like when I'm done with work, I go home, you know. There's no like, it's Friday, you know. You could be working Saturday.
I was just talking about this like Friday. We were talking about this today in the shop about like Fridays. People are excited for Fridays. I'm like, I'm never excited for Friday. I'm like, no one gives me a check anymore on Friday.
Right, exactly.
And now it's just like the weekend. Like, oh God, what am I gonna do? Like, it's Monday. You know, it's Monday.
That's the thing. That's having a business, man. When you're in business for yourself, it's constant. There's no turning it off.
You can't.
When you go on vacation, you really got to plan ahead of time. Like I have to really plan that stuff out and make sure everything's covered for, and this task is going to get done. I mean, it's a big thing, you know.
It is a big thing. Even when I go on vacation, I always have cash on me because I always look for coins.
Do you really?
I swear to God, I don't travel as like within the United States, right?
Yeah,
because there's coin shops everywhere.
It's so true. They're
all over the place.
And great ones too. Sometimes really cool stuff you could find. Like you guys are. That's one thing. You guys are lucky on the East Coast because you have the I-95 and it take you through multiple cities. You can find random coin shops like in the southern United States. Like you'd be surprised.
That's kind of what
you could find.
It's kind of what gave me epiphany to like leave my job and do coins full time. I was at my cousin's wedding a few years ago, like 4 years ago. No, like 3 years ago. And my daughter was the flower girl. So she was getting ready with my mom, like doing the whole hair and everything. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I can't be in here. I have to I got to go. So I just got in the car and I like within the matter of an hour and a half between going to 3 different places, I found a legit coin shop in like Aurora, New York. It's like, it's like the Hudson Valley of Buffalo in the middle of nowhere. I went to some like outdoor flea market. They said, go to this jeweler, met this jeweler. He says, no, go to this jewelry store down over there, make a left, And I found this coin shop / jewelry store in the middle of like way the hell upstate New York. And I was like, oh my God, there's treasure everywhere. It's all over the place. The way it is. Right? I spent like a few $1,000s with this guy. And it was a lot at the time because metal prices were so cheap. Like I bought a ton of stuff from this guy. And I'm like, yo, there really is just coins all over the place. You just have to find them.
I could do this.
Yeah, I could do this. Yeah. And it's like funny. And then like COVID happens. And then like, I didn't go out like treasure hunting nearly as much as I planned to do. Because it was just like so weird, right? You know, the way things were, like you couldn't really go anywhere, I guess. But the stuff's out there, man. The stuff is definitely out there and you just got to find it. Like it's there. Now I got to go on a road trip. I haven't been on a road trip in forever.
Really? You're going for work or?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
You never know, right? You're going to stop into some coin shops, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's why I always like have cash on me.
Yeah.
You have to. Anytime I go anywhere, you can always buy coins. You gotta, because you never know what you're gonna find. There's always cool stuff. It's like funny, like we're so spoiled, but then like when I go to California, and I used to go there more than I do now. But I used to say, oh man, I love coin shows and out in California, this stuff's so much better. Like it's like regionally, when you start buying metals in different parts of the country, you see like there's just different things that pop up regionally.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Like totally different coins. You know, we'll go to the New Hampshire show, right? And it's like there's gonna be a ton of Commens. There's gonna be a ton of like colonial stuff and like all that kind of stuff like that. And then you go out to California and it's like killer vintage bullion and like cow gold. And it's just like it's like a totally different thing.
Yeah, totally different. That's the local variety, right? Like the local assayers and stuff that were out there.
And all the guys out there probably roll their eyes like, oh, I'm so tired of seeing the same coins over and over again. You know,
it's true. That happens all the time. They're like, oh man, the East Coast is where it's happening.
Yeah. Well, it is. For like numismatics, it's definitely happening on the East Coast, and it's definitely happening on the West Coast,
Yeah.
and then
the southern East too, like
yes.
Georgia, Florida, big.
Yes. Yeah. Florida's massive for it. Texas is massive. Yeah, definitely like heavy hitters, East Coast and the West Coast, but not much in the middle. Illinois is big, right? Like there's a big market for that in Illinois, but just the sheer size, like East, West Coast, and Texas, that's like,
I feel like that's it. Yeah.
That's it. That's it really for anything, isn't it? Right? It's got anything is really. But yeah, no, it's interesting market, and definitely look forward to seeing what happens with it. I don't know, fingers crossed. Got to make a living, right?
That's it, man. I struggle with the same thing. It's like I hate traveling for work and doing shows when they're far, but then I have to. It's just part of the game. You have to do it. So
yeah, you have to. It's if you're not traveling, like having a coin, everybody's like, oh, you have a coin shop. This is so great. People come in all the time. Like, no, not really. It's not how that works. Like, if you're not out there hustling to find the coins, you're just not going to find them. Like, it's not going to come in over the counter.
Well, not great coins, not anymore.
Not anymore.
It was when I was a kid, that was the case. We used to see stuff in the store like in the early 90s and stuff like that. That you don't see it anymore in the shop. They don't come in over the counter anymore.
You don't. A lot of and that's gonna, I hate to like be so morbid, right? But like a lot of these great coins that were owned by people who are old and have probably died, right? And their kids just don't care about the collection. Like all these people are gone now, the coins are sold, and that's it. So like, yeah, where are the coins coming from? Where are these collections coming from? I mean, it's eventually just going to stop coming, right? Like,
yeah. Well, they go to people that are really knowledgeable collectors.
Yeah, or it goes to the really knowledgeable collectors, and it it stays for a long time, and it just ends up at an auction eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't. Yeah, where does the industry? What happens to all the stuff?
No, like in the shop, you could do a lot of 90%. You could do penny rolls. You could do bullion. But you're not. It's so rare that someone's going to come in with something really rare, right?
It almost like never happens. Like that's really what you just described is really like what
maybe once a year,
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like lots of 90, partially filled coin albums, right? And like pennies and some like cool oddball stuff here and there, right? Yeah. And then like the occasional really good coin.
Yeah.
But that just like never just stumbles in over the counter. No one comes in like, oh, I found this in my grandpa's drawer, and it's like $1 million coin. Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's very rare. It doesn't come around like that. It just don't work that way. But although it does happen, but few and far between. Let's just say that. Yeah. Are you going to be at the fun show?
Summer fun?
Yeah, summer fun.
I don't know. I'd like to. Maybe. I'm probably going to get pressured into doing it.
I'll be there. I got a table.
Oh, you do? Or you with the
Vegas coin dealer? Yeah.
Or as a coin dealer?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to go. I'll probably get pressured into doing it. It's just so hot in Florida in June.
Yeah. Humid.
So hot. Oh, it's so hot. And just like the walk, I was dying. The walk from the hotel to the convention center in January. I'm like, oh my God, Florida in June is so hot.
It's that thing. In New York, it could get similar. It's like you get out of the shower and immediately you start sweating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's hot is hot. It's hot, but it's hot in Florida.
Yeah.
It's hot. You're in Vegas, so you're used to it. I'm like, Florida's like damp and
well, it's dry here. That's the thing. Like it, when it's dry, it's not as bad. It keeps you from sweating a lot. But when it's humid, you're just like drenched.
Yeah. No, it's no good. I'll probably end up doing it. I know I have a wedding in Florida in June. I got it. I haven't even thought about it, man. Honestly,
too far.
It's coming soon though. But like Christ, it's going to be here before you know it.
That's what happens, man. Yeah, you got.
Like we just did Baltimore, and now it's like this week I'm going to New Hampshire, and then in 2 weeks to Central State. But I'm not going to go to Central State.
Yeah, it's too crazy.
No, it's too crazy. It's
like a show fest now. After the pandemic, everyone wants to do shows back to back to back, you know.
Well, it's not even that. It's just now they're back on their regular schedule, right? Like all these shows already existed pre-pandemic.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're kind of right. Like, so maybe it's the readjustment of not doing anything for like 2 years, basically.
Yeah, we didn't do shows for a long time, man. I mean, we actually threw probably the first coin show maybe in the country, if not definitely on the East Coast. At the shop 2 years ago, we did it in the parking lot. We did an outdoor coin show, and it was awesome.
Really?
It was amazing. We were like, let's do a coin show out because of COVID restrictions. You couldn't do anything indoors, all that shit. And so
how did that work? Like, did you guys have security, all that, or you pack up at night?
No. So the parking lot, it was the building that Chris owned. And it was in the parking lot. The parking lot just so happened to be completely fenced in. So there was no, like, you have to jump like a 7-foot fence, like a 9-foot fence or whatever to get out of the parking lot if you wanted to steal a coin, right?
Interesting.
And we put 2 cars blocking in the main entrance. So you had to walk between the 2 cars and there was a check-in point. And that was it. We had a judge there. Like, I think we had like an off-duty copper hanging out. And there was no issues. It was the best coin show ever. Everybody was so happy. Coin dealers, it was the first show they've done. They did in like 8 months, right?
Yeah.
It was the first show collectors have been to in like over a year.
That's a smart idea, man.
It was awesome, man. When did we do it? I think it was like April or something like that. And it was just the most beautiful weather out. It was like a gorgeous day. It was so nice out. It was perfect. We did like 3 of them. It was great, man. Outdoor coin shows. They were awesome.
That's cool.
And then things, picked up again. We were going to keep doing them. And then as like restrictions got less and less, the coin shows kept popped up. And I mean, just in between New York and Jersey, you can go to 3 coin shows a month.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So like, it was like, all right, we can't do it. And the big out of state shows. And so we haven't done an outdoor coin show.
I don't blame you.
But
it was that's very cool at the time. That would have been, I'm sure that was great for dealers. They were like, really happy.
Oh, it was awesome. Dealers are so funny. They were like, they loved it. And then by the 3rd one, they were complaining, that's what it was. By the 3rd one, they were complaining.
It's people in general.
But it was cool though. Yeah. We bought like a bunch of pop-up tents, like, the big, like 8x8 pop-up tents.
Yeah.
And just like line them up. It was like an outdoor bazaar flea market of coin dealers. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a good time. That's great, man.
Well, dude, this was a pleasure. I'm really glad we got to sit down and do this and like.
Yeah, definitely,
really
man. Yeah,
but I want to see. I hope to see you in the future, and like I said, I'll be at Fun. I don't know if I'll see you there or whatever, but at ANA too, I'll be at. I think that's in August.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to go to ANA, probably like 50-50 if I'm going to a Fun show, but I'd like to go to ANA.
It's not bad. It's like a 2-hour flight from you.
Yeah, no, it's not so bad. I just like that rose. It's like not a nice part. It's like there's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's very corporate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like kind of these shows are in just such boring locations, right? So it sucks. But yeah, no, I'm sure we'll definitely meet each other. Do you do that show in Vegas at all?
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a members only show. Yeah, I do it all the time. Yeah.
I was actually going to come out.
It's a great little show, by the way. Great.
I know. I've heard nothing but like awesome things about it. And I was going to come out to the last one that they had, and I was going to book like a last minute flight. And things about getting expensive. The flights were so. I was like, oh, I'll go. You can always get a cheap JetBlue flight out of JFK. Nope,
not anymore.
So expensive. It was insane. It was like $700 or something. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. That's crazy.
Oh my god, forget it.
It was too much. But we'll definitely meet, man. It was great talking to you. I can't wait to
Likewise,
see
buddy. Likewise.
Can't wait to see the video. And
sure.
Yeah, man, keep it. It was awesome.
Take it easy, man. So how can we find you on Instagram?
The little ampersand, Long Island Silver.
Long Island Silver, perfect. Any website, anything like that?
Nope. Find me on Instagram. That's it. You can call me, email me directly, and or you can come down to the shop in Sayville, 146 Railroad Avenue in beautiful Sayville, Long Island. We'd love to have you.
All right, great. Thanks, man. Have a good one. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, same, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey.